I spent a whole year saving money, skipping meals, and taking extra shifts so I could surprise my younger sister with the vacation she always dreamed of. On the day we were supposed to leave, I found out she had secretly used my money to go with someone else. I was 28, married to Sarah for 3 years and thought I had figured out. We weren't rich but we were comfortable. Sarah worked part-time at a bookstore while finishing her teaching degree. I pulled double shifts at the warehouse to keep us afloat. My sister Emma had just turned 21. She'd been talking about this trip to Europe since high school. Art museums in Paris, cafes in Rome, beaches in Greece. The whole romantic package. But after our parents died in a car accident 2 years earlier, money got tight for everyone. Emma was working 2 jobs just to pay for community college. I saw how her eyes lit whenever she talked about that trip. How she'd save Pinterest boards full of places she'd probably never see. It broke my heart. So I made a plan. I'd save enough to send her to Europe for 2 weeks. All expenses paid. Her dream trip is for her 22nd birthday in December. I started in January, picked weekend shifts, ate ramen for lunch instead of buying food at work, canceled our streaming subscriptions, made coffee at home. Sarah thought I was being paranoid about money, but I told her I was saving for something special. She stopped asking after a while. By April I had 12,000 saved. By July 500. The goal was 8,000 for flights, hotels, food, everything. Emma deserved first-class treatment. That's when I met Jess at work. She was temporary help for our busy season. 25, blonde, always laughing. She made the warehouse feel less like a prison. We'd talk during breaks about music, movies, stuff. Nothing serious at first. Jess was planning her own Europe trip with friends. Same time frame as Emma's birthday. We'd compare notes about places to visit, best restaurants, hidden gems. It felt innocent, just coworker chat. Sarah was stressed with finals and her teaching practicum. She'd come home exhausted, fall asleep on the couch by 9 p.m. We barely talked anymore except about bills and schedules. Though Jess was excited about everything, she'd text me articles about Rome, send pictures of dresses she might pack, ask my opinion about which camera to buy. I told it was harmless, just friends. In August, Jess asked if I wanted to grab coffee after work. To plan our Europe research, she said with that smile. I should have said no. We met at this little cafe downtown. Talked for 3 hours. She showed me her whole itinerary on her phone, leaning close so I could see the screen. I could smell her shampoo, vanilla and something floral. When she laughed at my jokes, she'd touch my arm. Just for a second, but it felt electric. Sarah had stopped laughing at my jokes months ago. Coffee became a weekly thing, then twice a week. Jess would text me funny memes during my lunch breaks. We'd complain about our supervisor, share stories about our families. I started looking forward to her messages more than going home. By September, I was lying to Sarah about working late when I was really having dinner with Jess. Nothing physical happened. We were just friends who connected on a level I'd forgotten was possible. At least, that's what I told. The warehouse Christmas party was in October. Sarah couldn't come because she had some teaching event. I went alone, planning to make an appearance and leave early. Jess looked incredible in this red dress. We danced. Just dancing, right? Coworkers were doing the same thing. But when the slow song came on, she stepped closer, put her head on my shoulder. I could feel her breathing. Things were different, she whispered. My heart hammered against my ribs. What do mean? Know what I mean? I did know, and instead of stepping away like a decent husband would, I held her tighter. We kissed in the parking lot, under the yellow streetlight by her car. Her lips tasted like in poor decisions. This is wrong, I said, but I didn't stop. I know, she breathed, but it doesn't feel wrong. That night I went home to Sarah, who was asleep on the couch with her laptop still open, grading papers. I covered her with a blanket and hated, but not enough to stop. November was a blur of stolen moments. Quick kisses when no one was looking. Long text conversations that I'd delete before going home. Plans for her Europe trip that somehow became plans for our Europe trip. Come with me, she said one afternoon, holding my hands in her car. We could see Paris together, Rome, all those places we talked about. I can't. I'm married. And the money, it's for my sister. Sister will understand. This is our chance. When will we ever get another opportunity like this? She was right. When would I ever get another chance to feel this alive? That's the lie I told as I started moving money from Emma's vacation fund into account with Jess. Just a little at first, then more. Then all of it. I told I'd pay Emma back somehow. Get her trip for her 23rd birthday instead. She'd never even know the money existed. Jess quit her job in early December to prepare for the trip. Our trip, we'd leave December 15th, right after Emma's birthday dinner. Perfect timing. I bought new clothes, got a passport expedited, made restaurant reservations in 3 different countries. Everything I'd planned for Emma. I was now planning for the woman who was destroying my marriage. Sarah noticed I was happier, more energetic. She probably thought it was the Christmas spirit. Emma noticed too. Seemed different lately, she said when we met for lunch a week before her birthday. Good different. Like have a secret. I almost told her right there. Almost ruined the surprise I was never going to give her. Just excited for birthday, I said instead. Her face lit. I can't wait to see what have planned. You've been so mysterious all year. The guilt hit me like a truck, but I pushed it down. Emma would be fine, she was young. She'd have other chances to travel. This was my chance, maybe my only chance. 2 days before her birthday party, Emma called me crying. Jake, I did something terrible. My turn to ice. What happened? I've been saving money all year for a trip to Europe. I know it's inexpensive, but I've always dreamed of going. And yesterday I found out about this group trip leaving December 15th. Last minute cancellation, so it's half price. But I need to book it today or I lose the spot. I couldn't breathe. Emma, wait. I took money from the emergency account Mom and Dad left us. I know I should have asked first, but I've been working so hard and I didn't want to be a burden. I can pay it back after graduation, I promise. Are angry. She was crying harder now, my baby sister apologizing for taking money to fund her dream. The same dream I was about to steal from her. How much money? I whispered. $4,000. I know it's a lot, but Jake, this might be my only chance. Please don't me. $4,000, exactly half of what I'd saved for her. The money she just used to buy the trip I was supposed to surprise her with. Except I'd already spent her money on Jess. Emma. I started, but the words wouldn't come. I leave tomorrow morning, she said, sniffling. I wanted to tell in person but I was too scared. I've been so good to me since mom and dad died. I didn't want to disappoint. Tomorrow morning, the same day Jess and I were supposed to fly out. Who are going with? I asked. My friend Marcus from school. He organized the whole thing. We're going to see everything, Jake. Paris, Rome, Greece. All the places I've dreamed about. I knew Marcus. Emma had mentioned him before. Nice kid from her art class. Always made her laugh.
That's great, Emma.
I'm proud of. The lie tasted like ash. Really, are not angry about the money. No, sweetheart. I'm not angry. I was worse than angry. I was destroyed. After we hung I sat in my car outside the warehouse and tried to figure out what to do. Emma was leaving in 12 hours for the trip I'd planned to give her, using money from an account I didn't even know existed. And I was leaving in 18 hours for the same trip with the woman I was cheating with, using money I'd stolen from my sister's dreams. The irony was so thick I could own it. I called Jess. We have a problem. I met Jess at our usual cafe, but nothing felt usual anymore. She was practically glowing, showing me photos of her packed suitcase, talking about the weather in Paris. So what's the problem? She asked, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I pulled away. Our same trip we planned. Jess blinked. What do you mean? I explained about the phone call, the group trip, Marcus, everything. Okay, Jess said slowly. That's weird timing, but it doesn't change anything. We can still go. Maybe we'll even run into her. She laughed like it was funny. Don't understand. The money I've been saving for our trip, it was supposed to be for her. A surprise. A smile faded from Jess's face. I was saving all year to send Emma to Europe for her birthday. Then I met and I used her money for our trip instead. Jess stared at me. Stole money from sister. I didn't steal it, I was gonna pay it back. How? Don't have any money left. She was right. Every penny I'd saved was already spent on our trip. Flights, hotels, that expensive dinner reservation in Rome I'd bragged about. And now she's going anyway. Jess continued. Using what money? I told her about the emergency account. Emma's parents' final gift that I'd somehow never known about. So let me get this straight. Jess said, her voice getting harder. Spent a year saving money for sister's dream trip. Then gave that money to me instead. And now sister is going on her dream trip anyway. Using different money. Less. And lied to me about where the money came from. I never lied. Told me we're saving for. That this was money to spend however wanted. Had I said that, I couldn't remember anymore. The lies had piled so high I'd lost track of which story I'd told to whom. Look, it doesn't matter now, I said. What matters is we're going to Paris tomorrow. Our flights are booked. Jess was quiet for a long time. What's wife going to think when disappear for 2 weeks? I'd been avoiding thinking about that. I told her it was a work conference in Chicago. She thinks I'm leaving Sunday. Jesus, Jake. I've thought of everything, haven't? Something in her tone made me look. The excitement was gone from her eyes. In its place was something that looked like disgust. What's wrong? I knew we're married when we started this. I knew it was wrong, but I thought cared about me enough to be honest. I do care about. That's why we're doing this. No, she said, standing. Or doing this because we're selfish, took money from baby sister to impress me, or lying to wife about where I'll be. I've turned into someone I don't recognize. Jess, wait, I can't go with tomorrow. The words hit me like a physical. What? This whole thing is wrong. It was fun when it was just flirting and stolen kisses, but this, stealing from family, lying about work conferences, I won't be part of it. She started walking toward the door. Jess, please, we can figure this out. She turned back, and I saw tears in her eyes. Know what the saddest part is? Sister is going to have the time of her with someone who actually cares about her happiness. And you're going to be alone in Paris, thinking about everything destroyed to get there. Then she was gone. I sat in that cafe for 2 hours, staring at my phone, the flight confirmations, hotel reservations, restaurant bookings, all of it now. I could cancel everything, get some of the money back, pretend this whole thing never happened. But that would mean going home to Sarah, looking her in the eye, pretending to be the husband she deserved while knowing what I'd almost done. And it would mean watching Emma's Instagram stories from Paris, knowing I'd planned to rob her of that joy. So I made it face either options. I went home, packed a bag, and told Sarah I was leaving early for Chicago. I thought flight was Sunday, she said, looking from her laptop. Change of plans. Boss wants me there Saturday to preka. She accepted the lie because she trusted me. Because in 3 years of marriage, I'd never given her a reason not to. I'll miss, she said, kissing me goodbye. Miss too. Another lie to add to the pile. I drove to the airport Saturday morning and got on a plane to Paris. Alone. The flight was 8 hours of the empty seat beside me where Jess should have been. The couple across the aisle holding hands and planning their itinerary. The realization that I destroyed my marriage for a trip I no longer wanted to take. I landed in Paris on Sunday morning, Paris time. Emma would be landing around the same time, maybe at the same airport. For a moment, I fantasized about running into her at baggage claim, surprising her anyway, making this whole mess into a beautiful coincidence. But I knew it wouldn't work. She'd ask too many questions. Want to know why I was there, how I could afford it, why I hadn't told her I was coming. I couldn't answer any of those questions without revealing what I'd become. So I took a taxi to my hotel and checked into the romantic suite I'd booked for Jess and me. Heart-shaped bed, champagne chilling in an ice bucket, rose petals scattered on the pillows. I sat on that ridiculous bed and opened Instagram. Emma's first post was already a selfie at the airport with Marcus, both of them grinning like kids on Christmas morning.
The caption read, "Finale!"
2 years of dreaming and saving, and it's actually happening. Thank to my amazing brother who's been so supportive even though he has no idea what I'm to. Love, Jakey. She'd tagged our location, Charles de Gaulle Airport. The same airport I'd landed at 3 hours earlier. The next post showed their hotel, a cute little place in Montmartre, probably a quarter of the cost of my overpriced romantic suite. They looked happier in that cramped lobby than I felt in my luxury room. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead I called Sarah. Hey, she answered on the second ring. How's Chicago? The sound of her voice broke something inside me. Sweet, trusting Sarah, who was probably grading papers on a Sunday because she cared about her students. It's fine, I said. Boring conference stuff. Well, don't work too hard. I love too. The third lie in 30 seconds. I was becoming an expert. I spent that first day wandering Paris like a ghost. Saw the Eiffel Tower, walked along the Seine, visited Notre Dame. All the romantic spots I'd planned to share with Jess. All the places Emma was probably seeing with someone who actually deserved her company. Every couple I saw felt like a reminder of what I'd thrown away. Every family felt like an indictment of my choices. That night I made the mistake of checking Emma's Instagram again. She'd posted a video from dinner. Some little bistro with checkered tablecloths and candles and bottles. Marcus was making her laugh so hard she could barely eat. The pure joy on her face was radiant. Day 1 in Paris and I'm already in love with everything. She'd written. Marcus found this amazing place the guidebooks don't even mention. I can't believe I'm really here. The comments were full of heart emojis and congratulations. Her college friends were jealous. Some relatives I barely recognized were sharing her excitement. And there near the bottom was a comment from Sarah. So proud of her following dreams. Have the best time. Sarah knew about Emma's trip. Had probably known for weeks while I was lying about work conferences and weekend shifts. How many other secrets was my family keeping from me while I was busy keeping secrets from them? I closed Instagram and tried to sleep, but the heart-shaped bed felt like a monument to my stupidity. The champagne had gone flat. The rose petals looked wilted and sad. On Tuesday, I got a text from Sarah. Haven't heard from since Sunday. Everything okay? I'd been so consumed with my own misery that I'd forgotten to maintain the Chicago lie. Sorry, long days. Conference is intense. What sessions are attending? I panicked. I had no idea what kind of conference I was supposed to be at. Supply chain management stuff. Pretty boring. That's weird. I thought said it was about warehouse automation. Had I said that? I couldn't remember. Both actually. It's a big conference. She didn't respond right away. When she did it was just, okay, love, but something felt different. A coolness in those two words that made my stomach drop. That's when I realized Sarah was getting suspicious. And Emma was having the time of her with money I'd tried to steal from her. And Jess was probably telling everyone at work what a terrible person I was. I was alone in the most romantic city in the world, surrounded by the evidence of my own selfishness, and every single person I cared about was moving on without me. The worst part, I deserved all of it. By Wednesday, I knew I had to go home. Not because the trip was ruined, though it was, because staying in Paris felt like drowning in my own cowardice. Emma's Instagram was me. Every post showed her discovering some new wonder. The Louvre, Sacré-Cœur, a street market where she and Marcus bought cheese and for a picnic by the Seine. She looked so happy, so free, so grateful for every moment. I tried to steal that from her. The flight home was worse than the flight there. At least going to Paris, I'd had delusions of romance and adventure. Coming back I had nothing but dread and a story about supply chain management conferences. Sarah picked me at the airport. She looked beautiful but distant. Professional smile, brief hug. How was Chicago? She asked as we drove home. Fine. Boring. Know how work conferences are? She nodded but didn't ask follow questions. The silence stretched between us like a canyon. At home she made dinner while I unpacked. Normal domestic, except nothing felt normal anymore. Emma's having an amazing time in Paris, Sarah said as we ate. Have seen her posts. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. No, I've been busy with work stuff. Should check them out. She looks so happy. I'm proud of her for saving and making it happen. Yeah, me too. Although it's funny, she mentioned something about using emergency money from parents' account. I didn't even know that existed. I choked on my water. What? The emergency account? From parents' estate. She felt guilty about using it without asking first. Sarah was watching my face carefully. Did know about it, right? I could lie again. Add another deception to the pile. But something in Sarah's expression told me she already knew the truth. Not exactly. I said, Jake, that account has been sending us statements for 2 years. I file them with our taxes every April. The room spun. We'll get statements, monthly. They come to our house. I always assumed looked them since it was parents' money. I'd never seen any statements, which meant either Sarah had been handling them without telling me, or I'd been too wrapped in my own problems to notice mail from my dead parents' bank. How much is in there? I asked. Sarah corrected. About $8,000 before Emma withdrew half for her trip. $8,000. The exact amount I'd saved for Emma's vacation. Money that had been sitting there the whole time, waiting for exactly this kind of emergency. Money I'd never known existed because I'd been too selfish to pay attention to my own family's finances. Sarah, I started, but she held a hand. I need to ask something, and I need to tell me the truth. My heart hammered. Okay, where were this week? The question hung in the air like smoke from a fire I couldn't put out. Chicago, I told the conference. Jakey. Her voice was quiet but firm. There was no conference in Chicago this week. I called work. The world tilted. Called my work. When stopped responding to my texts normally, I got worried. I thought maybe something happened to, so I called to check on this big important conference that was taking all time. I couldn't breathe. What did they say? They said took personal time off. 5 days of vacation, no conference. No business trip, just vacation time that never mentioned to me. My marriage was ending. I could feel it happening in real time, like watching a building collapse in slow motion. I can explain. Because I've been sitting here for 3 days trying to come with any explanation that doesn't involve lying to me about where we're and why. The tears started before I could stop them. Not because I was sad, but because I was finally caught. After months of lies and deception, I was finally facing the consequences. I went to Paris, I whispered. Sarah's face went white. Paris. I was supposed to go with someone from work. It fell through at the last minute. I went anyway because I couldn't get the money back. More lies. I couldn't help. Someone from work, Sarah repeated. Male or female? I closed my eyes. Female. The silence that followed was deafening. When I opened my eyes, Sarah was staring at me like I was a stranger. How long? She asked. How long what? How long have been cheating on me? We never actually. How long? Since August. But it wasn't physical. Just emotional. She laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. Spent thousands of dollars to take another woman to Paris, but it wasn't physical. She didn't come. She backed out at the last minute. Why? I couldn't tell her the truth. That Jess had backed out because she was disgusted by my lies and theft. That even my affair partner had standards I couldn't meet. She realized it was wrong. I said instead. But went anyway. I couldn't get the money back. Sarah stood from the table. Where did get the money, Jake? We don't have thousands of dollars for surprise trips to Paris. This was it. The moment where I had to confess to stealing from Emma or come with another lie. I chose the coward's path. I've been saving, working extra shifts. What extra shifts? I handle our budget. I would have noticed extra income. She was right, of course. Sarah managed our finances because I couldn't be trusted with details. Apparently, I couldn't be trusted with anything. Side jobs, I said weakly. What? Show me the bank statements, the deposit records, the tax forms for these side jobs. I couldn't because they didn't exist, because I'd funded my Paris trip with money I'd been saving to give to Emma. Money I'd planned to steal from my own sister. I can't, I whispered, because they don't exist. I nodded. So where did the money really come from? The truth came out in a rush, all of it. The year of saving for Emma's surprise trip, meeting Jess, the emotional affair, moving Emma's money into the travel account, the lies about work conferences, everything. Sarah listened in silence, her face getting paler with each revelation. When I finished, she didn't say anything for a long time. We're going to steal from Emma, she finally said. I was going to pay her back. How? Just said don't have any money left. I couldn't answer because there was no answer. I'd planned to figure it out later, after Paris, after the romance, after I'd gotten what I wanted. And Emma ended going to Paris anyway. Sarah continued. Using money didn't even know existed. Yeah, also stole money from sister to cheat on me with a coworker, and sister got her dream trip anyway using money from dead parents. Hearing it laid out like that, the full scope of my selfishness was staggering. I destroyed my marriage and betrayed my family for nothing. Less than Sarah, I'm sorry. I know I messed, but I can fix this. She shook her head. No, Jake, can't. We can go to counseling. I'll quit my job. I'll do whatever it takes. That's not about what'll do. It's about what I've already done. She walked to our bedroom and came back with a suitcase. I packed this while we're gone. I knew when I called work that our marriage was over. Where we'll go? My sister's. I already talked to a lawyer. The word lawyer hit me like a punch to the gut. Sarah, please. Can't we talk about this? We just did. She picked her keys and purse. I'll come back for the rest of my things when at work. What about Emma? Are going to tell her? Sarah paused at the door. Tell her what? That her brother tried to steal her dream vacation to fund an affair. That he lied to everyone who loved him for months. Please don't tell her. I won't, Sarah said. But not for sake, for hers. She deserves to enjoy Paris without knowing what almost took from her. The door closed behind her, and I was alone. I called in sick to work the next day, and the day after that. I couldn't face seeing Jess, couldn't handle the questions about my conference, couldn't pretend everything was normal when my entire head imploded. Emma's Instagram posts kept coming. Rome now, the Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain, gelato shops and cobblestone streets, Marcus taking photos of her in front of ancient ruins, both of them laughing like they discovered something magical. In one post, she was holding a postcard. Sending this to my amazing brother who's been working so hard all year. Can't wait to tell him about everything I'm seeing. The postcard was addressed to our house. To me. She'd bought it before she even knew I existed in this space, just because she wanted to share her joy with the brother who'd planned to betray her. That night I called Emma. Jake. She answered on the first ring, her voice bright with excitement. Perfect timing. We're at this incredible restaurant in Rome and I had to tell someone about the pasta. Having fun? I asked, trying to sound normal. The best time of my. I can't believe I almost didn't do this trip because I was scared about the money. I'm glad went. Me too. And Jake. For what? For not being angry about me using mom and dad's emergency money. I was so worried think I was being irresponsible. My throat closed. Or not irresponsible. Deserve this trip. I keep thinking about how proud mom and dad would be. Their daughter seeing the world, following her dreams. It feels like they're here with me somehow. I started crying. Quiet tears that she couldn't hear through the phone. Okay? She asked. Sound weird. Just tired. Long week at work. Well, get some rest. I'm sending a postcard from every city. By the time I get home, I'll have the whole trip in mailbox. After we hung, I sat in my empty house and thought about the postcards. Physical evidence of Emma's joy, written by hand because she loved me enough to want to share every moment. Evidence of the happiness I'd tried to steal. On Saturday I went to work. Jess was there, professional and distant. She nodded when she saw me but didn't speak. During lunch she approached my station. How was trip? She asked quietly. Awful. She nodded like she'd expected that answer. Good. Jess, I'm sorry. About everything. We're right to back out. I know I was right. The question is whether know why. I thought about it. Because I'm selfish. Because I everyone who trusts me. That's part of it. She paused. But mostly because don't know who her anymore. The Jake I first met wouldn't have stolen from his sister. He wouldn't have lied to his wife. He wouldn't have put his own desires above everyone else's happiness. I know. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like her still making excuses, still trying to minimize what did. She was right. Even in my apology I was looking for forgiveness I didn't deserve. My marriage is over, I said. I'm sorry to my fault. I know. It's mine. Les, it is. That was the last conversation we had. Jess transferred to a different department the following week. I heard through coworkers that she was dating someone new, someone single, someone honest. Emma came home from Europe glowing. 15 pounds of souvenirs, hundreds of photos, and enough stories to last months. She welcome home to me, party and invited everyone she knew. I went because not going would have raised questions. I smiled and listened to her travel stories and admired her photos and pretended my heart wasn't breaking every time she mentioned how grateful she was for the emergency money that made it all possible. The timing was perfect, she told our assembled family and friends. I'd been saving for years but never had quite enough. Then boom, last minute cancellation on this group trip, and mom and dad's account had exactly what I needed. Like they were watching out for me from heaven. Everyone agreed it was meant to be. A beautiful story of dreams coming true and parents' love extending beyond. Only I knew how close I'd come to destroying that story. How I'd planned to rob Emma of her miracle so I could create my own selfish version of romance. The divorce papers came in November. Sarah was asking for almost nothing, just her personal belongings and half of our small savings account. She wasn't being vindictive, she just wanted out. I signed them without argument. We met at the lawyer's office to finalize everything. Sarah looked good, healthier somehow, like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. How are doing? She asked while we waited for the paperwork. I've been better, Jakey. She turned to face me. I need to understand something. Okay, I'm not leaving because cheated. I mean that's part of it. But mostly I'm leaving because became someone I don't recognize. I'm still me. No or not. The man I married would never have stolen from Emma. He would never have lied for months about secret savings and work conferences. He would never have chosen his own desires over his family's well-being. She was right, but hearing it still, the worst part, she continued, is that had everything. A wife who loved, a sister who adored, a job that paid the bills, a simple, good, and it all away for what? A few weeks of excitement with someone barely knew. I thought I loved her, loved the idea of her, the fantasy, the escape from responsibility. Sarah's voice wasn't angry anymore, just sad. But real love means choosing someone every day, even when it's boring, even when they're stressed about school or tired from work or not laughing at jokes. I know that now. Or are just saying what think I want to hear. I couldn't answer because I wasn't sure. The lawyer came back with the signed papers. Just like that, 3 years of marriage were over. I hope figure out who wanna be. Sarah said as we left the building. Before anyone else, Christmas was unbearable. Emma invited me to dinner at her apartment, excited to cook French recipes she'd learned in Paris. She decorated her tiny place with souvenirs, postcards on the fridge, a small Eiffel Tower on the bookshelf, photos of Roman fountains on the walls. Look what I bought.